This is the Teclast ArtPad Pro, a 12.7-inch tablet built with artists and creatives in mind, offering a 4x3 canvas display, a rarity on Android tablets, and stylus support with the Teclast T Pen for sketching and illustration. But is it more than just a sketching tablet? In this review, we'll also explore how it handles everyday tasks from watching videos, listening to its quad speakers, how it handles gaming, performance of the massive 10,000 mAh battery, and a lot more. Let's see tech for what it is and if the ArtPad Pro is usable beyond the canvas. First thing we'll do is check out what we get in the box itself. So slide off the lid here. Up top is the ArtPad Pro itself in this plastic wallet. Pop that out, take off this protective cover, and looks like we have a protective sticker on the back of it and a pre-applied screen protector around the front. We'll pop that to the side for now. We get a USB-C to USB-C charging cable, a 30-watt charging brick. Always good to see a charger included in the box, so well done Teclast, and it's USB-C out on here. We have a SIM/SD card tray ejecting pin, a user manual in various languages, and then the T-Pen which comes bundled with the tablet. Some quick specs listed along the side with palm rejection, tilt function, and magnetic attachment. Let's unbox the T-Pen here. We get a user manual for the stylus along with 2 spare tips for it too, and then the T-Pen itself in this grey finish. There's a flat edge on the side which will be for the magnetic attachment. We have the power and function buttons along with the charging light, and then up top is the USB-C port for charging and the tip of the pen itself. The pen has a nice weight to it, not too heavy or light, and then main specs of the T-Pen are 4096 levels pressure sensitivity, global palm rejection, and USI 2.0 support, which is a universal protocol. Let's peel off the screen protector's top layer and jump into this review. Starting off with the design and build, up front we have the large 12.7-inch LCD display with uniform bezels all around. Up top we have the volume buttons, 2 microphones, and the SIM/SD card tray which supports 2 nano SIMs and an SD card up to 1 TB, and then the smart button on the right hand side. To the right is the USB-C port flanked by 2 speakers. Around the bottom there is nothing, and then to the left are some antenna lines, 2 more speakers, and the power button. Up front we have the 8 megapixel camera along with a charging indication light, and then turning to the back we can see the grey finish and the unibody aluminium casing along with Teclast branding near the bottom of the device. We have a dual camera setup with 13 megapixel lens and a 2 megapixel depth lens along with an LED flashlight, and this is a large tablet. Tops the scales at around 660 grams, but it's nice and slim with a thickness of only 7 millimeters. And as mentioned, the T-Pen has magnetic attachment support and snaps on nice and firm to the top of the tablet, and the magnet strength here is actually quite strong, so it's going to stay put when you have it attached. The camera module doesn't actually protrude that much from the tablet, so when you're laying it flat there isn't much rocking at all, maybe the tiniest bit on the right hand side, but for the most part you can use the tablet laying flat without much bother. Other specs here are GPS antenna, dual band 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, and also LDAC codec support for high-res audio. Moving on to the display, the ArtPad Pro has a 12.7-inch IPS LCD panel with a 4:3 aspect ratio, quite the rarity for Android tablets. PPI comes in at 213, so decently sharp, and has Art Vision color optimization. Teclast are calling this the canvas display. And to give you an idea of aspect ratio and display size, here it is next to the Redmi Pad 2, which has an 11-inch display with a more traditional 16:10 aspect ratio. With the ArtPad Pro, you're getting up to 20% extra workspace, and that's akin to most of the iPad tablets. Typical brightness here is 280 nits, so it's bright enough for indoor use, I'd say. We have an adaptive brightness toggle and various lock screen options from adding users, control toggles, and more. We have the usual dark theme toggle along with font size and display size options, and then you have bold and high contrast text toggles as well. We have a night light which gives the display a warm tone, and you can schedule this and adjust the intensity. For colors we have natural, boosted, saturated, and adaptive. We have color contrast with options from default, medium, and high, and again high contrast text toggle, and then a lift to wake toggle. And then the smart button, by default for single press it will present you with Art Space, which has 3 different modes that will adjust the display's look, starting off with ink mode, which offers a paper-like experience and is ideal for reading ebooks and such, making that experience a bit more natural, so it gives it a kind of a greyish, more warmer tone. Pastel mode will soften the colors and also reduces the power usage of the screen itself, and is ideal for graphic work or reading your favorite kind of comics and things, so again designed to provide a more natural experience. And then we have standard mode, which will be the normal display settings that you have applied, and you can see the difference here from the comic. When it comes to streaming, on Netflix we get wideband level 1 support along with full HD playback, but no HDR capabilities here. Consuming content on the ArtPad Pro is genuinely a good experience. The 12.7-inch display gives you a generous canvas to work with. The 4:3 aspect ratio does come with a trade-off, especially when watching widescreen content like movies, where you'll notice larger than usual black bars at the top and bottom, but that's just the nature of this format. In terms of display quality, colors come through looking rich and vibrant without being overly saturated, and there's a nice level of color accuracy, so visuals feel natural and balanced. It's not the most sharpest display out there, but suffices and is sharp enough. When it comes to YouTube, maximum here is 1440p, aka 2K, 60 FPS, but playing content at this resolution will cause some slight stutter with the playback, and this will be a limitation of the chipset, I'm assuming. But when switching it to 1080p 60 FPS, it runs nice and smooth with no stuttering. And again, with this expansive display, you've got a huge screen to consume any media. As long as you stick with 1080p or less, you won't have any problems streaming your favorite movies and shows on here. Viewing angles are typical behavior of an LCD display, with a slight dip in brightness at more extreme angles, but I couldn't see any sort of temperature change. So overall, a really good, large, expansive display to consume and create content on. And unfortunately, there's no USB-C video out wide support on the tablet, as I tried to connect my monitor here via a USB-C cable and a HDMI converter too. We'll have a look at how the T Pen Stylus performs, and I've charged the pen up. Red light will indicate that it's charging, and then green when it's full. There isn't anything in the way of adjusting settings of the pen itself, so it's out the box and ready to use, just requiring a click of the button to activate it and connect to the ArtPad Pro. We'll start off with some note taking in the dedicated Art Notes app, and you have various pen options, and writing on here, absolutely fine. Pen performs well, and having a display this size really does make all that difference. Pressure sensitivity works well as well. As I start drawing this line with not much pressure, and as I start to press harder, the line is drawing thicker. Latency here isn't entirely the best, as you can see in the slowed down footage, and only really noticeable when doing fast strokes, but in real life usage at normal writing and drawing speeds is barely noticeable at all. I'll fill out my Stylus testing PDF template here, and again, starting off with handwriting, no problem there. Underlining, highlighting and circling small text was no problem at all either. No issues ticking any boxes. I'll trace these shapes. Excuse the wonky lines, that's just me being a bit jittery. I don't really have much skills when it comes to drawing, but I can trace out drawings, and I found that here in the PDF editor, though not the best experience, I was still able to draw out this figure fairly good. However, if I tried the same thing with an imported file into the Art Notes app, it was a much better experience with more fluid line drawing and the various pen/pencil options also helping, and that tilt support. You can get to a certain extent some shading and such, but this isn't going to be the top of the line drawing experience, but it's still quite a good one. And you can also use other drawing apps. In this example, I have Ibis X, which is a very popular app for drawing and has all the pen's functions. So, palm rejection is working absolutely fine as I rest my palm on the screen. So you can use your pressure functionality along with the tilt detection and sketch and draw to your heart's content. Though I'm not really good at drawing any pictures, here's some examples of someone who can actually sketch and draw, and they work. So the tablet is capable of creating very nice art and graphics, just not maybe the absolute best out there. Of course, there's going to be better options, but as I keep saying, the canvas display really does play into having that extra workspace, making it a much better experience. Moving on to the speakers, and we have 4 of them on here on the ArtPad Pro, which are 9cc large chamber speakers combined with Teclast's proprietary Art Tune. In the sound settings, you have toggles for volume boost and also hi-fi mode. In special features, however, we have AI hyper audio and 3 different presets with game mode, movie mode and music mode, each one tuned for that particular type of content. Let's start off with music mode and sample some songs. Warning, the upcoming volume will be quite loud. We'll switch over to movie mode.
And I say that the Rick in there is right. He's more Rick than any of you. He's a terrorist. What Rick isn't? The Citadel was several co-workers.
So in summary, damn, these things can get super loud. On my decibel meter, they peaked at 90.1. Bass response is decent-ish. There's only so much you can get from speakers at this size, but still reasonable. I didn't notice any distortion at high frequencies, which is good. And there's a little amount of depth, but generally lack the fullness you would get from, like, say, a dedicated external speaker. But these speakers are basically room-filling sound, and you'll have a good experience using them for consuming your media on here. When it comes to performance, the ArtPad Pro is working with the MediaTek Helio G99 chipset. Yes, a lower end chipset, but a very popular and efficient one. We have 8GB LPDDR4 RAM and 256GB UFS storage. It's running on Android 15, so good to see that with Teclast ArtOS on top. When it comes to software updates, there wasn't much information there, so take that as you will. You also get an additional 12GB of memory expansion or virtual RAM if you choose to use that, totaling 20GB of RAM. In the settings for network and internet, we have SIM options along with hotspot and tethering, Ethernet, data saver and VPN. You can choose various wallpapers including live ones. We have the usual security and privacy options along with safety and emergency too. In accessibility, we have float wall, which helps with controlling the device itself with things like reading content displayed and such. Many other options like voice access, color and motion, system controls for gestures, extra dim, timing controls and a lot more. And then we can configure the smart button in special features, and you have 3 functions with 1 click, double click and long press. For each one you can set it to mode switching, open an application, system function or float ball. I'm going to set it to open Chrome, and when I double press it, does exactly that. And then for long press, I'll set it to open YouTube, and again worked no problem. So really a neat way of having quick access to whatever function you need at the click of a button. Super handy. We also have a quick sidebar which is accessible by swiping in from the side of the display, and you can use this to jump into any app and open it in a floating window state. And Duo Speed, which helps boost your current foreground app and limit other apps in the background, and you can pick which apps to allow to run in the background if you want to do so. But generally, using the tablet, the UI here is quite nice. I do like the app switcher with the current app being large and the background ones being smaller. You get this little dock at the bottom and you can access the app drawer from here too. And of course you have your clear all button. App load times are reasonable and what we would expect from the G99. Not the fastest out there of course, but still good enough. Web browsing is all good with no issues. So for your daily tasks, if you're tottering around with normal apps, you won't have any problems. There might be occasional stutters or times when the tablet chokes up a little bit here and there, but nothing detrimental. I've had no app crashes in my testing, and there are a few bugs here and there, like glitches with the wallpaper, raise to wake not working. Over time, Teclast should hopefully iron these out, but nothing that impacted the functionality of the tablet itself. We have a combined control panel and notification center, which I personally prefer. Split screen works absolutely fine with 2 apps running side by side, and you can use the sidebar to open a few other apps to really boost productivity. Such a large display, there's plenty of room to have multiple apps open and get things done. Quick RAM management check, and I'll open up Wuthering Waves, and here when going back to Chrome, we can see it's still running, and so is Google Play Store. We'll quickly check out connecting an external storage to the ArtPad Pro, and when playing back one of my 4K export videos and using the Photos app, it kind of got stuck when scrubbing through, but then when using VLC Media Player it worked better, and when scrubbing there is a few seconds of delay. And with some generic 4K footage, again a few seconds when scrubbing, but the 4K video played fine, no problem. We'll transfer this 1.74GB file that I always do on my testing over to the device, and that took around 5 minutes or so to transfer over to the device, which is quite a long time, so I was a bit surprised with that. Moving on to video editing, I have the same 4K video I transferred to the ArtPad Pro loaded here in CapCut at HD quality, and it's just under 5 minutes in length. I use this same file on all my testing, and scrubbing through we can see it isn't the most fluid with a little bit of lag here and there. I'll add some text here and then export it at 4K 30fps recommended bitrate, and that ended up taking 8 minutes and 51 seconds to complete, so quite a while there, but gives you an idea of what to expect if exporting at 4K. And then if we drop down to 1080p on that same video, that ended up taking 3 minutes and 55 seconds, so you will have to hang around when it comes to exporting projects on this device. We'll have a look at how the ArtPad Pro handles gaming. I'll start off by connecting my PS5 controller. I'll set the brightness to around 85% and the volume to around 30%, and we're starting off with a battery of 90%. I'll turn off battery manager and the device temperature is at 33 degrees. Normally I'll start off with COD Warzone, but unfortunately the ArtPad Pro isn't compatible as the chipset isn't powerful enough, so we're going to jump into COD Mobile instead. Here in the settings we have medium as the highest graphic quality and high for the frame rate, and I've turned on anti-aliasing, but a lot of the other options here are grayed out. Starting off as usual with a multiplayer match, and getting into the game here, the medium graphics of course aren't going to be the best, still decent enough, but gameplay itself is running nice and smooth, no hiccups or start at any point. Although I'm not able to monitor the FPS here, I'd hazard a guess and say it's running at least 30 FPS. 10 minutes in and still running nice and smooth, and we just got a Moab dropped on us. Good work there, team. I'll jump into a battle royale game, and again, as before, gameplay was nice and smooth, and though I'm wanting more from the graphics themselves, they're still okay. I was able to play here with no issues. After 20 minutes of COD Mobile, the device temperature is at 34 degrees, so hasn't really changed much at all, which is expected as we're not really pushing things here with high settings. Battery has dropped down to 83%. Next, we'll check out Roblox, and I'll max out the graphic quality to start off with. It's managing to run but struggling a bit with quite low FPS, and that becomes more evident when moving at higher speeds, almost becoming unplayable because of the lag and choppiness, as the G99 is struggling to keep up. I turned down the quality and now it's significantly smoother than before. Maybe some hiccups here and there, but generally a lot better than pushing it with high graphic quality. Next up is Wuthering Waves, and once again I'll max out everything possible in the graphic quality. And starting off there, we can see the game freezes for a second or so, but then bounces back and starts running quite smoothly. This is nowhere near 60 FPS here. I'd say maybe around the 20s or so. And though the visual quality is set to the highest, there's still quite a bit of aliasing occurring. I mean, it does look good, but not as sharp and high quality as you would get on more powerful devices. And then after 40 minutes of total gameplay, battery is down to 74%. Temperature of the device is at 36 degrees, so slight increase there. We'll jump into War Thunder Mobile, and I'll start off with max graphics, high resolution and 120 FPS target. And the graphics look good, but not that super good graphics you could potentially achieve. And we can see here on the built-in FPS monitor, with those settings, it's managing low 20s to 30 FPS and running quite smooth. I'll bring the graphics down and the resolution to medium, and now it's managing to hit low 40 FPS, so running quite a bit smoother than before. And if I turn it down to low for graphics and resolution, FPS manages a lot better, near enough achieving 60 FPS here, running super smooth and fluid. So it's a matter of picking one or the other here, high graphics or high FPS. And last game we'll check out is Fallout 84. Again, I've got graphic quality set to HDR, anti-aliasing enabled with image enhancement and high frame rate target. And here the game does look visually very good. Graphics look high quality this time, and the game is running nice and smooth. FPS isn't going to be anything crazy high, but I'd say it's hitting at least, mid 20s or so. After a total of 1 hour and 3 minutes of back-to-back gameplay, we finish off with the battery on 67%, so that's a total loss of 23% battery life. Temperatures at 36 degrees. So overall, the experience here on the ArtPad Pro is, for gaming, is what you would say limited. You're not going to get the highest graphic quality settings in most games, and those that do allow you to hit the highest, the device will suffer FPS wise. The G99 is a capable chip, but only when it's casual light gaming, so though you can push things here, just temper your expectations on the higher end of things, and if you're okay with medium to low graphics, then you'll be absolutely fine. When it comes to cameras, the ArtPad Pro has a dual camera setup on the rear with a 13 megapixel lens and a 2 megapixel lens, and around the front is the 8 megapixel front facing camera. The camera app only has picture and video modes. In the photo settings, we have scene mode with many different scenes to pick from. You can pick picture size from full 12 megapixel, 8 megapixel and 5. For video, we get the same scene mode options, and you can pick from H.264 or HEVC formats. Video quality maxes out at 2K all the way down to 480p, and no options to adjust frame rate, so I'm assuming that's locked at 30 FPS. And using the app yourself, you can pinch to zoom, but there's no indication as to what level you're at, and then you have the option to enable the flashlight, and that's about it. Pretty simple, straight to the point. But let's check out some captures. Just don't expect much. Just a quick camera test, recording at 2K, and this is obviously the rear camera. Oh, we've got some pigeons up there. Let's zoom in on them. Just doing a video camera test, 2K resolution. Give you an idea of what the rear facing camera is like. And zoom in. This is max zoom. Struggling to focus a little bit there. All the way back out. Front facing camera. When it comes to battery, the ArtPad Pro has a large 10,000 mAh battery which supports up to 30-watt charging and will charge from 0 to 100 in just under 3 hours. You also get a handy charging indicator which will light up red when charging and turn green once it's charged to 100%. In the settings, you have your battery remaining meter along with estimated time. Battery usage lets you view a graph of battery drain along with the screen on time and your usual filters to view usage by apps or systems. Battery saver turns on dark theme and limits background activity, and you can schedule this and also turn it off at 90%. And battery manager, which will detect apps draining battery and give you the option to restrict their activity, and you have a list of other apps you could add or remove from here. And we get intelligent charge protection, which will protect charging in order to delay aging of the battery. Always good to see that. In my experience, the battery was adequate. There's enough to get you through a day if you're using it heavy, medium, I'd say, but you can get 2 days if it's light use. As we know, battery usage has many variables, so it's hard to gauge an actual figure. In my video streaming test with brightness at 80% and volume at around 30% and back-to-back streaming on YouTube and Netflix, it managed to achieve 7 hours and 30 minutes screen on time, so not entirely the best out there, but still a reasonable time. So to wrap up, the Teclast ArtPad Pro is a tablet that clearly knows its audience. The 12.7-inch 4x3 canvas display is genuinely a joy to work on. Whether you're reading, sketching or just web browsing, that extra vertical space really does make the difference. It's not just large, it's decently sharp, has decent color reproduction that holds up well for both creative work and media consumption. Watching movies does come with letterboxing due to the aspect ratio, but for reading books, scrolling through articles and productivity tasks, it's ideal. The bundle T-Pen Stylus is a solid addition. It's not the most premium feeling pen, but with 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity, tilt detection, USI 2.0 compatibility, it gets the job done for notes, sketches and light illustration work. Speakers are surprisingly loud with decent clarity, though bass is minimal, so they're great for YouTube, casual media or even a Zoom call, but not for audiophile listening. Performance is modest. Helio G99 handles everyday tasks like email, documents, editing and light multitasking smoothly, but don't expect this to be your go-to kind of gaming device. And the 10,000 mAh battery is also a huge plus, getting you through a full day of solid use and potentially 2 days if you work with lighter workloads. Cameras are expected for a tablet, usable but unremarkable, good enough for video calls or scanning documents, but not something you'd reach for when you're taking pictures or something. Overall, the Teclast ArtPad Pro offers a compelling blend of display, real estate, stylus input and the all-day battery life wrapped in this nice metal body. It's a thoughtfully designed creative tool that doesn't break the bank, and for digital artists, students or anyone looking for a large yet portable Android tablet, it's definitely worth a closer look. That's all from me guys. Thank you for checking out my review and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.